You can start.
Hi, this is Tom, Alex, and Van's presentation on the key to managing waste. So some of the indirect causes of waste is that like the nature of consumption has changed for us over the past like 100 or so years, and people are encouraged to just throw out what is seen as like no longer having value, or you use it once and then you pitch it. So basically, it just generates a lot of waste that could be reduced or reused. So some of the direct causes of waste is that there's just a lack of responsibility on the producers. And they can pretty much produce however much waste they want with zero to very little repercussions.
Okay, so the first environmental issue caused by plastic waste on my topic is the plastic that will enter the soil and just kind of pollute the soil with a degradable toxic substance. And this substance will kill all the plants and other microorganisms in the soil. And the second is the plastic will get ingested by a starving animal, which will kill them, or the toxin will accumulate throughout the whole like the environment. And the third is the greenhouse gas emission by like producing and disposing the plastic will, is tremendous, especially you use a lot of fossil fuel into producing and provide power for the producing industrial. Uh-huh.
So basically, a lot of e-waste is also really improperly burned. So that releases a lot of toxic chemicals into the environment, and that usually kills plants or animals and oftentimes humans. And then there's also just a lot of clutter that is generated and pollution from the e-waste, and having e-waste in the environment is not very good.
And the social issue caused by plastic waste is basically about the environment justice issue. Since developed country, they just export more plastic waste to the developing country. So this will cause a huge problem for the developing country to deal with this. And the second is about the plastic waste. They will just the toxic of the plastic waste, they will just get into our daily accessible food or water, and this will cause huge health problem like liver cancer and other things.
Yeah, so basically, it's basically an environmental justice issue, as he said. And like a lot of e-waste is shipped around the globe. Like 70% of e-waste ended up in China, while they were still developing for a while, until they banned it. So this left a lot of cities and villages cluttered with e-waste and almost inhospitable to humans.
Okay, and the economic issue caused by plastic waste is basically the taxpayer money will use like we used to restore the land for agriculture for other things by the government, which will burden the local people life, and the government have no money to use to the like developing other technique, and this will just burden the whole country. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically with e-waste, there's a lot of perfectly good electronic parts, and they're just sitting away, wasting away. Um, And basically, if we could reuse that electronics, it would be very good for a lot of shortages that we see around the globe.
Okay, so how do we solve this issue? It's our government's responsibility to hold corporations accountable through policymaking, but it's also a collective action issue. We have to come together and lobby for them to make these policies. It can't just be one person throwing away their trash. So how can we participate in this activism? Um, part- Participate in local, state, and presidential elections, and vote for candidates who already have plans in place to combat plastic waste and e-waste. Participate in peaceful protests and petitions in support of the prevention of plastic waste and e-waste. Potential solutions and laws. On the economic side, we can subsidize biodegradable plastic products, which is essentially incentivizing companies to create biodegradable plastics to prevent buildup. Offer a return system for old electronics that will be discarded safely and professionally, and potentially even reused. Social require environmental-based classes to be taught at every level of the school system, and sponsor community-wide cleanups and classes to teach young minds about the effects of e-waste and plastic waste. This will instill a sense of climate activism from the get-go and continue that through the schooling system. Environmental, allocate more of our taxes to climate change research, efficiency, and waste management research. Set climate goals like EV car sales by 2030. Create a credit system. This will act as a tax on carbon emissions, plastic production, and electronics production, and incentivize companies to to become more efficient. And this will help instill a sense of responsibility in these companies.
Yeah, that's all posted.
Yep. Thank
Okay, almost.